Hi, I'm Paul. Welcome to my messy workshop. My wife really likes giraffes. So for Mother's Day this year, our daughter made her this piece of artwork. And it's made on a painter's canvas. The paint on the background and this ribbon on the side look like giraffe hide. It has the word giraffe spelled down the side, has a little wooden giraffe with a heart in the middle. The only thing this doesn't have is a frame. So in this video, I'm going to make a frame for this piece of artwork. For the frame, I'm going to make what's called a shadow frame. And a shadow frame sits a little wide of the artwork, and it has a piece behind it, and it looks like it sits proud, and it looks like it's surrounded by a shadow. So in this video, I'm going to show how to make that frame. Now, I learned how to make this frame from Jon Peters over at Jon Peters Artwork. I'll put a link to his videos and his website down in my comments, or down in my description. To make that frame, I went down to the local big box store and I bought some 1/2 inch by 2.5 inch poplar. And the reason I bought that instead of buying 3/4 is I only wanted 2.5 inches, so it's thick, so it saved me a lot of milling time. The 2.5 inches, I'm going to rip it down to 1.5 inches for the side, and then the piece that's left over it'll form a piece inside to make the shadow. You'll see as we go along. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the table saw, and I'm going to do this off camera because most everybody knows how to mill lumber, and there's 1,000 videos on the internet on how to cut lumber. So I'm just going to cut it down to 1.5 inches. Then when I get it down to 1.5 inches, I'm going to put a miter on one end. When I come back, I'll mark the other end, and we'll cut the miter on the other end so we have the finished piece. So stick around. I'll be back in just a short time. In fact, it'll be instant on this video. And I'll have that cut, and we'll get the other end cut to length and start putting the frame together. All right, I have my miter gauge set up, and it's set up at a 45-degree angle. This is just a test piece here. I'm not doing the real piece yet. And I have a stop block set up. And this is the original 45. And luckily, my pieces are narrow enough to where I can, instead of having to tilt the blade, I can use my miter saw, and the blade is high enough to go through it. So I'll run this test piece through. And this is what we'll end up with. And so I'm going to go ahead and do those. I'll kill the sound because the table saw and the dust collector make a lot of noise. But I'll go ahead and run those through, and then we'll be right back. Well, we have all of our pieces cut, and each side is the same length. So when we put it together, it should be square. So to put it together, we're just going to glue it and put some 23 gauge pin nails in it. All right, there's our frame together. We'll let that dry before we continue. Make sure it's square. We'll let that glue dry for a little bit, and then we'll continue on with the next step. Now what I've done off camera is I've taken the cutoffs from when I ripped this down to 1.5 inches. I took the cutoffs and I've ripped them down to about about 7/8 of an inch. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fit these inside here. I'll miter the ends and I'll fit these in here, and that'll create the part of the frame that the picture will sit on and also form the shadow. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut the miters on the end of these, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my pieces all cut. They're mitered on both ends. They fit into the frame just right. I put a little glue on the back of them, and I shoot a 23 gauge by 3/4 inch pen nail into it, and that holds it in place. So we'll do that all the way around, and there we go. We have the shadow box assembled, or the floating frame assembled. We'll get it sanded. The picture will go in here. So we'll get it sanded and we'll get it painted. We're going to paint this project. That's another reason I use poplars, because it paints so nice. But we'll get it sanded, we'll get it painted, and then I'll be back and show you how we install the artwork. Well, we've made great progress with our frame. This is the finished frame. I finished it in a couple coats of brown craft paint. Then I sprayed about 3 layers of, or 3 coats of satin or semi-gloss lacquer on it. And it came out real nice. Now the artwork is going to sit on this ledge inside the frame. Now to hold the artwork in place, I'm going to run some screws from the back side of the frame. Get down here where you can see it. From the back side of the frame through this ledge, just on the inner edge of that ledge. And then I'll put some screws through into the artwork. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come 1.5 inches from each of the corners on all 4 sides, and I'm going to drill a hole through this ledge and then countersink it on the back side, and then I'll be back and I'll mount the picture on it. Here's where we're at. I have the holes drilled from the back of the frame, or from the front of the frame through to the back. I have them countersunk on the back. The artwork is centered in the frame opening. I have pieces of cardboard, doubled up pieces of cardboard to hold it straight in the opening. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 1-inch number 6 screw, and from the back I'm going to go to that countersunk hole, I got to find it first. And I'm going to hold the frame in place, or the artwork in place. And I just put that screw into the wood frame of the artwork. And I'm going to do that all the way around the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and finish putting the screws in, and I'll be right back. There's our finished project, all mounted in the frame, ready to be hung on the wall. Well, thanks for stopping by and watching this build. I hope it was informative and that it's something you'd like to try. If you would, please subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to email me, my email address is right here. It's paulsmessyworkshop@gmail.com. If you would, leave me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. Or if you'd like, you can leave a comment. I reply to all my comments, whether they're good or bad. If you'd like, you can share this video with somebody you think might enjoy building this type of frame. Above all, I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and until next time, thanks for watching.